What's up, nerds, and welcome to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all things Overwatch 2. We have a special bonus episode this week. So we got 2 episodes released tomorrow. We have another voice actor interview lined up, and tonight we are being joined by someone who really does not need an introduction. She is the voice of Symmetra, Anjali Bhimani. Anjali, thank you so much for being with us here today on Heroes Never Die. So excited to have you on here.
So excited to be here. We already got the ball rolling before this, and I had to shut myself up so we didn't say all the fun stuff before we started recording. You guys are a hoot.
Absolutely. So as you guys can tell, we do have a full house here tonight. Joining me again for this interview are my close friends Tink and Ren. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
Howdy, howdy.
Hey, doing great.
So this is actually our second voice actor interview. We had just had Jen Cohn on about, a month ago. So basically what ended up happening was Omnic Weekly and we basically just swapped VA guests because I know you were on there very recently. They also just had Jen Cohn on as well. So, we're just trying to keep pace, basically. Plus, they're really good friends.
But there are a lot of us to get through, so strong work.
Yeah, we're officially at 2. So
okay.
we're slowly getting there,
Now you have somewhere to go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Always something to look forward to in the future. But of course, we got a lot of stuff to talk about because we do have recently had some Symmetra changes for Overwatch 2, primarily with her balance in the game, which isn't very common for her.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna confess something to you guys that many people already know, so it's not a secret.
Right.
I am terrible at this game. I can play Symmetra, at least the last time I played, I could play Symmetra, but the last time I played was when her Maramat skin first came out. So I am much more a lore person or a backseat player than I am actually any good at the actual mechanics of it. So I just want to put out that disclaimer to anyone listening. I apologize for doing that. I've tried. I really have tried. I swear. I just don't have the coordination for FPS.
When you tried,
did you do the work?
When you tried, did you play Symmetra?
I did, because I felt like when I first started playing the game, I thought, okay, well, you have to learn how to play your own character. And then ultimately, that was the only character that I really could play without dying immediately. And I say without dying immediately, that's 3 out of 5 times I don't die immediately. It's something about first-person shooters, especially the 6v6, where I just don't have a concept of what's over me and behind me, and I have a really hard time recognizing what the space looks like. So I'll inevitably get sniped by someone who's above me and behind me, and I didn't even know they were there. Or a little more embarrassingly, I will just walk off a cliff or walk off a landing. And I thought there was floor there, but there's not. So yeah, not great at playing the game. Hopefully better at doing the voice than at playing the game. It's, the bar is low if I'm comparing the two. But
when you were playing, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you were playing, did you get just caught up in playing, or did you actually have those moments where you hear your own voice lines going through and have a reaction to that and kind of go, "Ooh, I did that. I remember that." Or
it's funny when I hear Symmetra's lines coming back at me, I don't really think of them as me, because I sound like this and she sounds like me with an accent and a little more elegant than I am. And so it doesn't necessarily, there's not sort of this cool recognition. I do talk back to myself a lot.
Okay.
Judging me. I know I was not meant for greatness. Stop judging me.
Now that has to be a stream, because that would be fantastic. Where you're basically talking back to yourself. Stop telling me.
You have a whole conversation.
Right? That's funny. That's funny.
You were talking about the changes in the balance.
Yeah, so, the last time we had balance changes with Symmetra was basically when they were changing her ultimate to have, the shield generator, which you just, put in a spot, and then if the enemy team destroyed it, then all the shields would get removed. Yeah. Nowadays, with the recent patch, which was, a couple of weeks ago with the release of Season 2, they basically made some changes to the primary fire for her, and it was primarily, ramping up the damage where... they were trying to make it where her beam effect was still building up quickly, but they also made it where if you weren't damaging anything, then the damage fall off would be pretty great. So, they're just trying to make her more proactive in a sense,
Sure.
Compared to what she's used to being. Because a lot of times what you notice with the Symmetra players is they'll play more passive or more defensive because of, the turret setup,
right?
In particular, which, is fun in its own right. I personally like to play the more flank Symmetra with the teleporter and then, bring in the turrets through, which is, definitely probably not the best way to play it, but it's more entertaining and, it's more the content, right? Like you have to do things for science just to get it out there.
Absolutely.
How much of her gameplay does that have anything to do with how you voiced her, or was it just these are my lines and I'm going to say them based on what you already, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely knew what her kit was when we started recording her, and then as we've moved on, when we're in session, they will let me know, okay, this new thing is coming out, and that's what you are voicing, and this is the circumstance, and that's what you are voicing. So there's definitely a sense of if there is something new that we are employing, great, now we know about it. I might not have seen it visually because they might not yet have it set up that way that I can see it. But, I knew what I was talking about when she was saying, do it online. Like, you know exactly. I've known what that is. Haven't had a chance to play it like ahead of time or anything like that. But definitely her seeing some of the gameplay trailers and just seeing some of the movement during the early days, it only solidified what I already felt like was her voice, which is the fact that despite the fact that she's in battle, she's just still very on point. She's very elegant. She doesn't get flustered very easily. She's very analytical. Call it as she sees it, whether you like it or not. She's going to say something very blunt, not to be mean, but just blunt. She's going to call it the way she sees it. So all of that, I think, plays into her gameplay style. Particularly when she's running around in high heels and somehow not falling down all the time. I mean, I run around in high heels all day, so I feel it. I definitely feel it.
Kind of along the same vein where Tink was asking how her gameplay kit influences how you voice the character. Like at the inception of the character years ago, like how much direction did you get just in regards to the kind of the voice that you give her, how she's so even keeled? Was that something that you get a lot of direction on, or do you get more discretion there?
So early on, when we were finding her, most of my sessions were directed by Andrea Toyas, who is also the head casting director over there at Blizzard. Mm-hmm. And we did spend the first session kind of finding and deciding her energy. I saw the art of the character and saw that she was like, gorgeous, hot, wearing heels, smooth, but still very composed. Not like that was the visual of it wasn't necessarily what was going on inside. And the voice I auditioned with was very, 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 very much the voice that we ended up using for the character. And the demeanor, I think it was more about the demeanor and the energy than necessarily the voice itself. The cadence, the smoothness, the sort of, did she just insult me? I think she did, but it was so chill that I don't know if she insulted me. Like that kind of thing about her. I joke that she's like an amalgam of all the judgy aunties I've ever met in my life. Because she just kind of knows how to say things that she thinks of as just, this is just a thing. And other people might take it as, what? You've just completely offended me. Why would you say that about me? But yeah, that we did take some time in the beginning to figure that out and to figure her out. But it wasn't a very different voice from the voice that we started with.
Okay, so it seemed pretty natural and at the same time like pretty collaborative between you and the direction.
Absolutely, the whole process has been very collaborative, and Andrea is such a great director, and as have been the directors that have come after her since we've continued on for the last 5 years or 6 years or 5 years, 6 years. What are we in? 2022. So 6 years. She really knows how to create a safe space for you to explore. Cool. And to give you the confidence and the calmness to know that, okay, you're doing a good job. Don't worry. Just keep on going. Just keep on going. It's all going great. It's all going great. And not like she's just trying to alleviate anyone's stress. She's just the person who really she just has this energy about her that's very smooth and very, very Symmetra. It's very, it sets you at ease when you're being directed by her. And so between her and Michael Chu, who was online a lot of the time, who was the original head writer for Overwatch, between the two of them, the feedback usually came from the two of them.
Cool. With your exposure to art and movies and this and that, whatever, did you pull from any character that you liked growing up or that you liked in order to create that, or just in your profession you kind of went, okay, this is what I want to do, and you pulled it out of, for lack of a better word, thin air, obviously with collaboration and direction, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, this one was definitely not based on any existing characters for me, other than people that I had met. Like I said, an amalgam of the real life, some of the real life aunties that I've met. And also my cousin, I have a cousin who is very elegant. She lives in Mumbai, and the way she speaks is so kind of like, it's just so like graceful. And she is so graceful. So I very much kept her in my mind at the same time.
So those are both conscious, like your aunties being this certain way, and like I like how that could play into this really nicely. So you consciously pulled from that. That's cool.
I mean, I think it's not even as conscious so much as like, oh yeah, she's like Niti Ben. Oh yeah, she's like this. Oh yeah, cool. And so I would just be like, oh, that feels right. That sounds right. And that's where it came from in my life, because that's what I was hearing all my life.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. When I was curious, when we talked with Jen Cohen, she had mentioned in Overwatch 2, and we've noticed it, we talked about it, how the banter back and forth is much more playful, trash talky, that kind of stuff. Much more fun, as she described it. Did you notice that difference for your character as well? Yeah. And what was your thoughts on how that changed and shifted?
Yeah, I definitely have noticed that with the writing in Overwatch 2. It's just a little more filled out. You know, there are a little more layers to it. I feel like I have more connections to other characters than I necessarily had before. And that we get to see a little more of her tender underbelly. We get to see a little more what's underneath the facade, which I really, really enjoy. And I think it's setting the stage for more lore along the way, which I think is great. And as the new characters come in and new relationships come in, I think it's a much more, it's just a much more lush tapestry. Not that there weren't amazing things before, but as it grows, so does the depth of the character have to grow. And 6 years in, you got to continue making that happen, and they're definitely doing that.
I love how blunt Symmetra has been with Overwatch 2, especially towards Torbjorn's inventions in particular, because she's constantly calling them like really crude, and Torbjorn thinks that you're complimenting his work at the time, but it takes him like 30 seconds to be like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense if you think of it, that she's, it's like the difference between Horsefield and medieval armor to her. And so it's just a simple like, how quaint. Okay, cool. That's how you do it. But I don't, again, when I'm playing her, I don't really think about edge. I think the matter of factness about the things she says kind of does that for us. Because it's almost more painful when it's just like, okay. That's how you do it. Okay. Rather than like, oh, that's how you do it. It's when it's that kind of, it's insidious. I think it's a different feeling. And also I don't take her as someone who is out there trying to insult people. She has a set of standards, and she holds herself to them, and she holds everyone else to them. And she has opinions, and she does not keep them all to herself. She doesn't necessarily engage comfortably with other people. There's a lovely interaction between her and Echo about that. And I can't remember the exact words, but where Echo says, people say that I don't, have trouble engaging with other people. I don't know if that's a bad thing. And Symmetra says, I don't see that as a bad thing. It means you're unique. It means you speak on a level that no one else understands. And I think both of them really bond in that way, or at least at that moment of Symmetra, because of her experience, because of her neurodiversity, because of whatever factors are factoring into this, I think she has a really hard time making deep connections with other people in the Overwatch universe. And hopefully over time, we will see her build more of those connections as time goes on. I'm really glad that they did the story Stone by Stone which was when that Marumat skin came out, because that connection between her and Zenyatta made so much sense to me. And her learning a little bit more about the other side of things that's not necessarily logical, but that's more spiritual. And getting, the tiniest sense that maybe Vishkar isn't all that fantastic an organization. She doesn't seem like she's completely gotten it yet. We're waiting for our girl to get it. We're rooting for her. We're rooting for her.
Yeah, because there's even like an interaction with Hanzo when she asked him about like leaving his clan and whether or not he made the right decision, or if he knew he made the right decision, and he basically just outright said like he didn't know.
Yeah.
He just took a leap of faith, really, in that case.
Yeah. And it's cool because you can interpret that a lot of different ways. You can interpret that as her just asking. You can interpret that as her asking because is she considering leaving? Or is she just scoffing at the fact that he left? Like, there's so many different ways to look at it. And whatever way it ends up going is going to be the way that the writers make that decision. It's a really fun thing.
One of the things we were talking about just before we started recording that I held the question, because I know we were holding a couple of things, was you mentioned in some of the art that you were pointing out in the background, the different things that you get from fans, etc. Like, what are some of the really cool things you've gotten from fans that stick in your mind? Because you say you keep everything that you can and that you get.
Yeah. My office is a giant testament to the artistic nature of our community, and not just the Overwatch community, but the gaming community overall. Yeah. I mean, these pieces that are on my wall, I really, really love. I've got this beautiful piece that I was pointing at the screen as if you can see that. This one that that was the first gift that I ever got when I first met Kelton Ching, who became a dear friend, and he is also a cosplayer, and he cosplayed a male version of Symmetra based on Hindu mythology at BlizzCon, and he won the big contest over there. And then I have a well-documented love of the quokka, the Australian animal. So someone made a quokka Symmetra for me, so that made it on the wall. This one up top is let's see if you can see that. That's like a pin-up Symmetra that I love, and a Symmetra holding my dog. As far as like the items that people have made me, it's really pretty incredible. I mean, I'm sitting on a turret because it's a little booster chair for me that I keep with me here. Someone made me a doll that was like a Monster High doll of Symmetra wearing her Devi skin. I've gotten lots of 3D turrets in all different sizes. Got some plushy Symmetra with little plushy turrets, which is really cute. People are wildly creative. And what I love so much about it is that it's people at all stages of their artistic journey. Some are obviously very advanced in their skill, and some are still learning, but you can see the heart that they have put into it and how much they love it. And the fact that they would give that to me means a lot to me, because I just know how much that means. The fact that they would show up and say, I want to bring a gift to you. It's extraordinary. I'm so grateful for them, and I'm so humbled by it. It's a very, very, very generous community.
Yeah, especially for those artists that are just starting out, but for any artists to present your work to someone who I'm assuming they look up to. It's a real vote of trust and just that you've won the community over like that you and the other VAs are so involved is really just a testament to how much you guys are adored in the community.
Well, thank you. I mean, I can't imagine being any other way towards a community that is this engaging and kind and supportive. You cannot ignore that. How else could we be? People are so giving and so kind and so interested. When I first started, there was a fan art Friday that I did in February of 2017. And I was like, oh, well, I'll try a fan art Friday. Sure. That sounds like an interesting thing. And I put it out and I thought, okay, cool. I'm going to go away, go to sleep, come out. There'll be like 10 maybe when I wake up, because it was late Thursday night. And the next morning there were just tons of things coming in. And again, all different levels, all different styles. And I thought, wow, the immediate generosity, like a call to arms, is so exciting to me. And you can't help but return that. At least I don't think you can. I cannot imagine not getting swept up in that and wanting to give back. That particular day was when my web series was born. I Am Fun Size, which was essentially a love letter to this gaming community.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
we
awesome.
Having been to cons and been a nerd for a painfully long time, there's definitely been a shift from being a nerd in the 80s and even in the early 90s to now.
No, trust me, I was there. I'm the same way. Look, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons when I was 8. Like, I feel you.
And the other shift. Go ahead. Sorry.
You sort of had to be kind of a closet nerd. You had to be like a closet game player. And but I loved it so much. I loved the tabletop RPGs. I loved the RPGs that I could play on my computer. Apparently I do this when I'm playing. I don't know what that is. That's playing piano. It was such a big part of my downtime. The problem was that, like, if you're using it in your downtime, but you're not getting to connect with your friends over it because you're kind of hiding and doing it in secret, unless the TTRPGs, because you have to play those with other friends, it ends up being a time suck. And so back then I found myself kind of leaning away from it in my later adult years. And now, thank God, like from basically 2016 on, getting to come back to this world of gaming and this universe, these multiple universes that are being created and shared, it means so much to me because, not just because I love the people in the community so much, but also because I love the medium. I think it's really, really powerful. I think it's a completely different feeling when you are watching a TV show or watching a play or watching a movie. And yes, you're getting engaged with the story and feeling things, but it's still very separate to you versus when you are playing a game and you are in that character and you are hearing that voice as your character over and over and over again. And you are telling the story. You are part of the story, even in something that's PvP like this, which might seem like it's not necessarily a story-based game. Every match is a story. Everything that you do has some kind of narrative, and you, as the player, are moving that narrative forward. That's, in my opinion, that's very empowering. In my opinion, it means a lot to be able to see a hero that you identify with in whatever way, whether it's cultural background, sexual orientation, gender, size, shape, whatever it is that you identify with. When you identify that hero that you see in yourself, you take that hero out into the world because you realize, I'm seen. That's a hero that I identify with, which means that's somewhere inside me. And that's a really cool thing. I mean, that's probably been the thing that's meant the most to me, is hearing stories from people who have said that they've been inspired by these characters, by this story, by this game to either heal relationships or battle their social anxiety a little more effectively, or try new things for the first time, or meet new people for the first time. The fact that they can take that feeling from a game and incorporate it into themselves and take it out into the world. That's also why I love so much how positive the world of Overwatch is, how hopeful it is. Like, yeah, terrible things happen. There are evil people. There are bad guys, all that stuff. But it's a world worth fighting for. It's a world where they say, you know, the world could always use more heroes. It's a very hopeful call to arms rather than this post-apocalyptic, oh, we're all going to die, so let's kill as many zombies as we can before we do type thing. Which there's a great place for that, but I just feel like there's something very special about something that gives people something to believe in so that they can take that out into the world. And look, we're going through some heavy times, and we have for the last few years. And to be able to lean on that narrative when we're experiencing this in the physical world, I think being able to lean on stories of any kind that give us solace, that give us inspiration, that give us the strength to push on through challenges, I think that's I feel like that's my favorite thing about storytelling.
Well, and if I may, that's quite refreshing, because you look at the older characters that created nerd lore from the Star Wars and these older type folks, and the dismissiveness comparatively to see somebody show up in the 80s dressed as, you know, Yoda or whoever. They're just like, what is this? You know, versus you seeing it is how you described it. It's such a refreshing change to see voice actors, Jen was the same way in this love for the community, and having been in the Warcraft community since it came out, and
yeah, you get it,
and seeing the players in it and the creators, which is why Blizzard's always been so attractive to me. They're so invested in this process, and they're nerds too. And you get that a different feel than some actor who's like, wait, I got to play some star wizard with a blade thing. What?
It's funny. I haven't met a lot of people on my side of things, on the performance side of things, who have that much dismissiveness, but I have seen it in the outside world. And I still fight it today when I'm talking about the awesomeness of our people, of our nerd community. I still see it when I'm talking to some friends who are like, oh, gamers. And I'm like, whoa. Don't, come on. This is me.
Yeah.
This is who we are. And it's not an us versus them. That's the other thing that I love about our community, is that it's embracing. It's like, please, more people play with us.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lack of dismissiveness there. And I know, I'm not blind. I know there's toxicity. I know there's a lot of stuff we have to work on in the playing space. But the way I tend to fight those kinds of things in the world, not just in gaming, is I don't give them any energy. I give energy to the thing I want to grow, and let this other thing fade because I'm not feeding it. The more we feed the parts of things that we love, the more they grow, right? The more attention we give to them. And I see that so much in our community. I see it so much at conventions. Conventions are one of my favorite things in the world, because it's where you go to celebrate the things you love, and then you get to be celebrated for loving the things you love. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. Your fandom is dope. Your connection to your fandom is awesome. Your creativity, your unique way of showing that is awesome. And it's not everybody gets a medal. It's a genuine enthusiasm for other people's enthusiasm. That's so infectious. When we first started doing conventions, I would lose my voice at every single one, because I could not help but just keep talking to people the whole time and asking them about themselves and hearing what they're into, and just loving the feeling of people getting such joy out of these different things, such joy out of a game or a television property or characters or whatever. Or, for me, it's like dice. It's simple things like going to a convention and geeking out over dice. Everybody's there to enjoy themselves and celebrate each other. And that is something that I wish there was more of in the world outside of conventions, because we could all do with a little more of that instead of divisiveness. Yeah.
I took my daughter to, was it 15 Totem? I think she met you. She was 12, 13 years old. And I travel for work. And so we would play at night Overwatch together to because we miss each other. Yeah. And she loved Diva. And so she had her little Diva costume. And the number of people that stopped her and wanted to take pictures with her, and she was just never seen anything like it, and wanted to go back again. And she's like, when are they doing another one? I was like, I think it's going to be next year, But she absolutely changed her direction on things when she went there. And I think the next year they actually put her in the promo video for BlizzCon. Yeah, it was very cool. She was so stoked. Just a little kid.
That effect right there. That effect that we can have, that all of us can have. I'm not just talking about the actors, and I'm not just talking about the people who run the conventions. All of us can have that effect on a young person, on a middle-aged person, on an older person. We can have that effect on people when we recognize the uniqueness of that person's expression, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If it's not for you, don't say anything.
Yeah. Well, for her to be a little kid and have adults geek out on her. And she's like, this is a 30-year-old person, 25-year-old. Oh my gosh, this is the greatest outfit. And she's like, this is so cool.
What I hope that it also does for kids when it's like that, when it's adults who are super excited for them about that, is that gives them that feeling. One of my favorite things that I shouldn't say favorite, but one of the best things that my parents ever did for me and my brother, is that they never treated us. They knew that we were younger humans who didn't have as much experience, but we were never treated like we were any less intelligent. We were never treated like we were less than in any way. And so there was a mutual respect. They just happened to know a lot more, be wiser about certain things, and have more experience. So we could go to them to ask that. And that ultimately we'd want to listen to them because they may have experiences that we don't. When adults treat young people that way, or younger people that way. I sound like I'm talking like I'm really old. When adults treat younger people that way, I think it opens them up to be able to access their own intelligence, their own wisdom, their own enthusiasm, and share it on a level that they don't get to share it necessarily maybe in class or other places where they're not necessarily encouraged to voice their opinions, to voice their creativity, to share the things they love. I think it's a really, really powerful thing. Enthusiasm is really underrated. It is probably more powerful than any other force. Kindness and enthusiasm. Simple. Two simple things.
Well said. You got buckets of both.
Yep.
Yes,
hopefully
exactly.
we'll have another BlizzCon soon. Fingers crossed.
I know. I miss it. We had such a fun time the last time we were there. Carolina and I got to cosplay again, and we did our Halloween skins. So she was Bride of Sombra as the bride, and I was Dragon Symmetra, and I just love being there. The again, just like the celebration of the new stuff and the new trailers and the getting to play all the games, and it just there's nothing like conventions.
It's just a different kind of energy altogether.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did Blizzard provide you the costumes that you guys got?
No. We just did those because we love to. We had done it at Anime Expo as well. And Kelton, who I was telling you about, who did this painting and who did the Symmetra, the male Symmetra, he and a friend of ours named Melanie Jasmine, who's at Melanie Jasmine Design. You can look her up online. The two of them put together the various aspects of my Dragon Symmetra costume or cosplay, and Melanie did all of Carolina's stuff. But yeah, Kelton is an FX artist in Life, so he made the horns, he did the makeup. I think he did the horns and the prosthetics, and then Melanie did the sort of the head tail and the whole all the wardrobe. And that
had to have been fun. A lot of fun.
It was so fun. At the end of the day, the first day that we did it, I was like, "Can we go out? Like, I don't want to not
right
3 hours to get into this. I'd rather
go to the bar dressed like this.
Like, can we go to the 7-Eleven? What's happening?"
Yeah.
And at BlizzCon, we actually did get to go. That day that we were doing the cosplay, we did get to go to a party afterwards for Blizzard employees and got to stay in our cosplay, which was kind of awesome. So that was fun. Yeah.
Very cool. Sorry, I've been monopolizing questions. Totem.
No, it's all good. I don't mind it at all. You know, that's why you're also here to add to the conversation. I will say, like, one of my favorite interactions in Overwatch 2 is between Symmetra and Junkrat. When Symmetra's just looking at Junkrat, being like, when I look at you, I just see pure, unadulterated chaos, and Junkrat just looks at her like, "Is it the bombs?"
What is it? Is it this? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the perfect setup. Just like set it up and he knocks it down. And that kind of playfulness, which is not out of place, is really fun to have that new element in Overwatch 2. It's not like we've completely changed who the characters are, but there's just this, sometimes comedy is just people being exactly who they are, and it somehow turns out funny. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's starting to happen a lot more in Overwatch 2.
Because it's the same case with Junker Queen too, who has about using hard light to craft a weapon for her. But then Symmetra basically just notes like, "Well, it'd be a kilometer tall. There'd be no way for you to wield it."
Yeah, I don't know that that's possible. The reason I hesitate when you're saying things about lines, it's not that I don't know them. It's that we record so many lines, and not all of them make them into the game immediately. Right. So I have to wait to hear someone say a line back to me to know if it has made it into the game. Because otherwise I'm going to blow something that might be being saved for, the next month or the next event or the next something. So when people are like, "What's your favorite line?" I'm like, not really one. Really old ones, my ultimate. Because some of the new lines, I don't know if they've made it in yet.
Well, that's got to be kind of maddening to just try to remember all that. Oh, crap, which one?
I don't. I just don't remember it. I just like, there's no way to, because, you're getting a lot of lines every session. So, and you get them at the session. So there's no time to memorize. There's no time to remember. When I remember lines, it's usually because they were like the initial ones that we did way in the beginning, and I was hearing them all the time when you would like choose your character or whatever. Welcome to my reality is one of my favorite ones because she's like, you're in my world now. And then the ultimate, which you hear over and over again, the new ultimate, not the old boring teleporter online ultimate. That was sad. That was a little bit sad, but that was her ultimate. So I was very happy that she got the new one.
That does kind of, or it might step on what I was about to ask you, and that's that, like in Overwatch 2, as we see like some of the relationships between characters deepening and stuff like that, do you have a character or a couple of characters that you feel that Symmetra has, you mentioned Echo specifically, but others maybe that Symmetra is more, kind of has developed that relationship more with, without spoilers of lines that aren't out yet?
I think that there are characters that I want her to have more of a connection to, based on the stories and based on the lore. I cannot necessarily divulge any actual connections that she have. Like I definitely have wanted her and Lucio to iron shit out, because I hope I get something, so I hope it's okay that I cursed. Because it makes it so, it would be such a clear way for her to step over from Vishkar if she kind of like listened to him and went that way. Even more than that, I would be really excited, and not just because she's my best friend in real life, I'd be really excited if Sombra was the one that like made her realize just how not great Vishkar is. And I think her relationship, this sounds like a cop-out, but I think her relationship with herself is the one that is the most interesting to watch her experience.
No, that's a good answer, yeah.
Because, you know, she clearly wants a better world. She clearly has her heart in the right place. She is doing all of these things because she believes it's going to make the world a better place. It's just a matter of, did she ally herself with the right people, and has all the stuff that she's grown up learning from them, does it really lead to a better world, or you know, is there something fishy there? And as she's working all of these things out and working out things that she learned in her childhood, and we've been doing that with the character since day one, since that first comic came out, A Better World, where she talks about, and I always mess up this quote, but where she says, it used to bother me when people would ask Sanjay where I was on the spectrum. It doesn't bother me anymore because I can do things that no one else can do. So just that reversal of, as she's growing up, dealing with her neurodiversity, and then coming into her own personal power as she is learning to wield this power outside of her, and what that means for her in terms of how she sees herself. That to me is a really, really, again, a really powerful thing. And since in Overwatch 1, for lack of a better term, since in the first Overwatch, the original Overwatch, she didn't really have a lot of connections, specifically like in the lore, actual connections to other characters. I think so much of what we saw with her was her working stuff out in her own mind. And now in Overwatch 2, I think we're starting to see that come to fruition, which is really exciting for me, and hopefully exciting for other people.
Interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. I do know we are running a little low on time.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to make sure we get you out on time. I know you recently also came out with your book, which also kind of ties into your I Am Fun Size series, which is, you can find it on the YouTube channel, which, you know, you do have quite a few with some of the other VAs on there as well. So if anyone's looking for like a great stocking stuffer for the holidays, you know, go check out I Am Fun Size, and so are you. Thoughts from a Tiny Human on living a giant life. And I can completely relate to this because I'm also really short. So when I saw you pull out like the booster seat, you know, I'm like, yep, in there.
You feel my pain. But here's the thing, and I want to make sure that this is clear to anyone that hasn't seen my series or doesn't know about the book. To me, fun size is not about a size that you are. I mean, I know in the world it means tiny candy bars and tiny things and whatever, but to me, we're all built for fun. And that's where the series came out of. It was, I get called fun size all the time, but we're all built for fun. We are all sized to have these amazing, beautiful, wonderful lives. That's what we're built for. That's what we're built to do. The problem is that life, circumstances, experiences, sometimes the voices in our own head have a way of making us feel small or constricted or alone or scared. And my goal in life is to remind people at every chance that they get that you are not alone, no matter what you're going through. Even if it's something no one else has ever gone through, there is someone there to walk by you with, during it. There's someone there to cry on their shoulder. There's someone there to send you a funny dog meme. There's someone around. You are not alone. And the worst decisions I've ever made for myself in my entire life have come out of a feeling of aloneness in the past. So it's really important to me that people recognize that there is a world, there's an army of people out there for them, and that we are all built as a society, as a community, as individuals. We're all built to be able to be as expansive as we possibly can be. Like, it goes back to kindness and enthusiasm. When you feel someone who is enthusiastic and someone who is kind, you can't help but feel better. And that's a very easy way for us to live bigger lives. And then we can all, have our unique sauce that we put on it, your own likes and your own dislikes and your own skills and all of those things, the choices that you make. But ultimately, you got to come from that place of knowing you're not alone, and what you have inside you is completely unique and completely special. And we would miss you if you were not in the world. That's what Fun Size is about for me. And that's what I'm hoping. And like I said, it came out of a love letter to this community. It came out of this group of people and this movement that I think has happened over the last, 6 years or so.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Video games has brought all of us together, for sure. I mean, Tink I knew from our World of Warcraft guild, meeting him at BlizzCon several years throughout the years. Mm-hmm. Right, also through Overwatch in this case.
Yep.
It's all different walks of life, and this one central theme and bringing us all together is really unique.
Well, I love that. I love that you guys are an example of exactly the energy that I'm talking about people reaching out across state lines, across country lines, across oceans. That's the magic of what we've got now here with the internet and with these games, that we can connect with people we never would have before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Absolutely. So with that being said, I think we should probably wrap things up so you can get out of here. So Anjali, thank you so much for joining us here tonight for Heroes Never Die. It's been an absolute blast talking to you, sharing some experiences with you as well. And, hopefully one day we'll all get to reunite in Anaheim for BlizzCon, because being out there for the Overwatch League was great, but it just didn't feel the same for me personally.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Overwatch League is its own magical beast. And I love the Overwatch League because, again, the excitement is palatable. But yeah, we could use a BlizzCon. We could use one of those.
Yeah, hopefully next year. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Well, cool. Thank you guys so much. It's been really lovely.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure getting to know you, talk to you. Thank you.
Like
enjoyed it thoroughly.
All righty. Take care.
All right. Take care, Anjali. Bye. All right, so with that being said, guys, I do want to thank you again for joining us here tonight for our bonus episode of Heroes Never Die. Ren and Tink, thank you so much for being here again for another VA interview.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great. More of these. I know,
absolutely. Right? We'll try to keep them coming, even if we're having a flex record. But that's fine. We've not run into any hiccups so far on that end. So we'll close it out here, and of course we'll have our other episode where we'll be talking about the Winter Wonderland event, which we'll be recording later on tonight. But of course, both of these episodes will be live in the feeds on Friday. So take care, guys.